All right. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Bethlehem's Zoning Board. My name is Peter Schneck, and I'll be serving as chairman this evening. Just a quick announcement. The board met in 2 executive sessions. No matters or appeals were discussed, and no decisions were made. Serving tonight along with me is Paige Van Wart, Sharon Wiles Young, Danielle Joseph, and Lucas Walk. Our zoning officer tonight and secretary is Mr. Dave Taylor. Our solicitor tonight is attorney Eric Schock, and our stenographer tonight is Miss Moira Evans. Sure. Sorry about that. At this time, if any members in the audience who have testimony, questions, and or comments, please stand and be sworn in for any of the cases tonight.
Yeah.
Raise your right hands, please. You do swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You do so swear or affirm? Yes.
All right. The first appeal up tonight.
You want us to cancel one?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Some housekeeping. The fourth appeal, 210 West Broad Street.
Yes,
Is
correct.
Canceled or
Yes.
postponed?
The participant, I have a copy of an email I can distribute to the board. The applicant, John Lee, emailed me around 3:30 today, said he had found some issues and was not going to be able to make it tonight. Requested scheduling to the March 25th.
Does that meet your deadline?
Oh, that would be within 60. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And that is the date he requested. Right.
Oh,
They're just not very loud.
They're not.
I'm under threat of whatever. I'm not supposed to touch the soundboard. So I
as
will
loud
ask,
as it's
I will
getting,
ask the
folks.
board to just speak up into the microphones tonight. Yeah, there was something happened the other night, last night, and they were working on it today.
All right. And also quick procedural thing. If members of the audience are here and not a member of the party and wish to speak or question the appealant, you have one crack at the apple, and please don't be repetitive, and please keep questions relative to the variance or special exception being requested. With that, we'll hear 413 East 3rd Street.
413 East 3rd Street, the appeal of Reed Sign Company on behalf of PD Polk Street 2 LLC for dimensional variances to allow a projecting sign higher than allowed, 25 feet permitted, 48 feet 9 inches proposed, and projecting 4 feet from the face of the building when only 3.5 feet projection is permitted. Sections 1320.04K, 1320.09 2I, 1325.06, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
And before we get started, can you confirm when the property was posted?
February 7th, 2026. 17th, sorry.
All right, you may proceed.
Sure. And good evening. Thank you, the board. I'm not sure. I don't know. These are really on. So I'll try to speak loudly. My name is Seth Tipton. I'm here from Flory Perucci on behalf of the appellant PD Polk Street 2 LLC. I have 2 witnesses with me this evening for the benefit of the board. We have the contractor that's going to be actually installing the sign from Reed Signs. That'll be my first witness, and my second witness is the director of development with Perone Development, which is part of the joint venture that's constructing the project, Mr. John Callahan, who can testify as to some of the facts that justify the relief that we're seeking tonight. As a matter of housekeeping, Mr. Schock, we have an application package that I think was part of the agenda. Would we be able to admit that as a single exhibit, or you want me to refer to the? We have no additional exhibits or attachments.
Yeah, we can just make it applicants one if you're
That's what I'd like
comfortable
to
with
do.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I'll ask the witnesses to try to identify, along with the pages of Exhibit 1, what they're actually testifying to when they go. So without further ado, can you please state your name for the record?
Yeah, Edward T. Reed.
And what business are you from, Mr. Reed?
I'm from Reed Sign Company.
Mr. Reed, we have, and the board has been kind enough to put it on the board, a description of the sign and the plans for the signage that we are seeking to place in the building. Could you please give a description of the sign, the project, for the benefit of the board?
Yeah, so the project is located at 413 East 3rd Street. You see on the first page, the building on the right-hand side, the building with the Gatehouse Flats projecting sign. That sign projects off the building 4 feet. It's double-sided. So you can see it from, if you're heading, I guess it'd be east or west. The sign is fabricated of architectural metal. The Gatehouse Flat letters are dimensional lettering that are internally illuminated. So if you notice on the depiction we have there, we show what we call a nighttime view. So it's important to know that at nighttime, that whole background won't be illuminated, but just the lettering lights. That tends to work better for just clear, crisp identification of this property. The height is located, is 48'9" to the top. The reason for that is when you're driving along East 3rd Street, there's utility poles, there's trees, whatever. This sign will be above the said trees. And it's also, the building is 6 stories, I believe. Is that right? 60 feet. 60 feet. So the sign is less than the height of the building. So just for clear, concise visibility, it's located where it is, and the size is, the size is fine. It's just that the projection is 4 feet rather than 3'6".
And Mr. Reed, in addition to the height, which you testified is 48'9" in excess of the zoning ordinance, what is the other relief that you're seeking for the signage?
The other relief is the zoning will allow a 3'6" projection off the building. This sign is a 4-foot projection off the building.
And the necessity, or what's the reason for which the sign is designed with that level of projection?
So that it's visible and proportioned to the architecture. And I would say that it's also very similar to the 510 flats and the 610 flats. So there will be architectural symmetry between those signs.
I don't have any further questions for witness unless anyone does from the board.
Just, I don't know if you know this. Are the 5 and 610 flat signs? Did they get variance?
I can answer that question. Yes, they did.
Okay,
They received the same relief that's requested here in the same district.
gotcha. Thanks.
I think they're slightly different, but just quick question. So I'm looking at a 1 foot standoff and a 3 foot sign. Why not a 6-inch standoff?
I mean, I don't know.
I think our second witness can talk more to the reasons why the design is the way it is,
Okay.
if that's helpful for the board.
But there's no like structural or sign, the reason why the sign's designed that way, that it would need that 1 foot.
Just that it's very similar to those others, and that's exactly what they are. So just kind of a consistency down the street, but not structurally, not a structural issue.
So, yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think so.
All right. Could you state your name and position, please?
Sure, John.
Not really.
John Callahan, Director of Development with Prawn Development.
Mr. Callahan, first of all, I think we heard a question from the board about the decision for the dimensions of the sign being 1 foot off the building versus, I think the example was 6 inches, which would make it compliant. Could you speak to the reason for the overall design from the perspective of the developer?
Sure. The as was stated earlier, this sign is very similar. The dimensions match the variances that we received for both 610 and 510 flats. The height of the building is 61 feet. It's actually a 5-story building, so it's your typical 4/1 podium, 4 stories over a podium. And when you look at the proportion of the sign compared to the scale of the building, if this sign were lower or if it were tighter to the building, our belief from an aesthetic standpoint is that it would not fit or appear, aesthetically kind of matching the building. And as I said, we've received similar. This is in the IRR zone, which is the broadest zone that the city has. It kind of takes all of the uses within zoning and combines them for IRR. So it's fairly liberal in terms of the zone that it's in. And there's no magic to the extra 6 inches other than we think it kind of fits and makes sense. Like so if that were a concern or an issue with it's not something that we would fight about. We just think it makes sense and looks better. It'll project further from the building. It'll be better for visibility. And we're not putting other signs on the building. So this is kind of a prominent monumental sign. These blade signs, I think, Reed did both the signs on 510 and 610. They fit, very well. It sets up a nice cadence as you drive down and a rhythm as you drive down 3rd Street. And if you look at even the NCC sign that is on the building next door, which is 7 stories, which is taller than our building, Gatehouse Flats, that sign projects much further off the building than what we're proposing. So it's not anywhere close to the projection of the sign right adjacent to us. So we feel like it's appropriate given the scale of the building and what's been there. And as you all know, this building is kind of a wrap building, that is attached to a 750 space multi-story parking garage. So there's the parking authority's got significant signage related to the parking authority, and we think this sign kind of helps call out this building relative to the other things that are going on there. And the name, the Gatehouse Flats, is if you drive down Fillmore Street, sort of off of 3rd towards the river, that's where the old Bethlehem Steel Gatehouse building is. So we thought it was kind of a way to pay proper homage to the steel and the area around there. So that's kind of the thinking behind it.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but is another one of the justifications from the developer's perspective to place a sign at that height because of any of the surrounding trees or utility lines?
Absolutely. I didn't want to repeat the testimony from Mr. Reed, but yes, 100%. There aren't trees there now because we removed the trees in order to build the building. Just to kind of give a little bit of background, that this was an RFP that the city of Bethlehem put together for the development of this wrap building adjacent to the parking garage. So this building was reviewed by the city, the scale of the building, the height of the building, as a part of that RFP process. So it's we think very much in keeping with what's going on in the corridor. And we, as we said earlier, we've received a similar variance from the same company for similar sized buildings, in the same zone, within a couple of blocks of this building, or actually catty corner to where this building is now. But yes, it would, the idea is that it would be above the tree line and more visible. The sign would be more visible and away from the utilities.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
I just have one question. This design versus, and you said one side versus multiple flat wall signs. I'm assuming you think this is a more attractive solution than using potentially multiple flat wall signs on the building, because you're only going to have one, you said, right?
Correct. But as was stated, that it'll be seen by both sides of the road.
Because
So-
it projects.
Correct.
It's going to be double-sided.
Yes.
Got
And rather than clutter the building with multiple signage, we thought we'd sort of invest in a high quality sign. And, you think the Goodman building down the street has a similar sign that I'm sure doesn't meet, it's more historic but I'm sure doesn't meet the city's current, not likely to meet the city's. I haven't measured it to be truthful, but I'm reasonably sure it's projects off the building more than what, I believe the social still sign also projects a fair amount off the building. So it's actually kind of more in keeping with some of the older architecture along that corridor.
Is this a lit sign?
It is.
Going to be on, what hours is it on?
Is it a timer? Is it light sensitive? What are the hours? What do we do? It's on a timer or light sensitive, so it would be on during the evenings.
Like all night?
Yes.
Are the 510 signs on all night?
Yes.
And this matches the standoff of the 510.
Correct.
And also, I'm looking at your building now. I think it's more pronounced in your rendering, but it looks like the surface of the building actually goes in and out. So maybe it's not a foot from it's only a foot from the surface that it's attached to, not a foot from like the furthest
Recess.
Yeah. Is that accurate? Looks like we've got trim pieces above it and down below.
Yeah, we attempted to give the building some texture
Yeah.
along Third Street. So there are some modest recesses as you go along the front facade.
All right. That's all I had. I guess at this time we'll go off the record in executive session. Oh, sorry. Before we do that, anybody from the audience with any questions? Any comments?
Okay.
Good catch, Lucas. All right, now we'll go off the record.
you.
There we go. Apologize, but
All right.
210, 1051 Decatur Street. The appeal of Sarah Maywort and James Houghton. I apologize if I'm not saying them properly, and I apologize for my glasses as well. For a variance to exceed the maximum permitted floor area for an accessory building in the residential zoning district, 1,000 square feet permitted, 2,100 square feet proposed. Sections 1302.02, 1302.51, 1325.05, 1325.06, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
And before we get started, can you confirm when the property was posted?
It was posted February 18th, 2026.
All right, you can proceed.
This is our first time doing this. We're just looking for approval to be able to put up the garage that we've stated we needed. It's 1,100
Could
square.
you give us, so it's on
Oh,
the
I'm
record,
sorry.
your full name,
Sarah Houghton.
Sarah?
So we're looking for approval for the additional 1,100 square feet for the garage.
Um,
Can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
All right. How large is the property, so the land?
Our land is 19,800 square feet.
18,800 square feet. And what we'll do is, just like the last one, we'll take your whole submission and we'll just make that Exhibit A1.
Okay.
'Cause you'll probably just refer to all of those. Okay. So why don't you go through and give us, and I know some of it's written in here, but we need to have a record. Why don't you explain what's there now, if it's vacant, where you're putting it, and why you're asking for it to be larger than the allowed square footage? Like, what's the reason you can't do the 1,000 square feet? What are you going to do in it?
Okay. Right now it's vacant, so it's just open property. And I'll be honest, the husband has expensive hobbies, and 1,000 square feet is not going to cut it. It's probably the only garage we'll ever put up. So we figured we'll go with what's going to work for us and accommodate everything that we need it for.
Do you have you have your home there?
Correct.
Do you have a garage in the home?
We do have a small detached garage behind it. Yes.
are you replacing that garage or adding?
This will be in addition to.
Do you know how large the other garage is?
The current garage?
Yeah.
It's a 20 by 22.
So the new garage will go by the other garage, or
So it'll be,
Oh.
Sorry.
it'll be to the left going long ways.
along there? Okay.
So we kind of wanted it in line with the front of the existing garage, and then it'll go back.
Oh,
What is it? Do you know what it's going to look like? Is it going to match?
So we're doing all black. So that way it'll tie in with like the shutters and the star base that we have painted black. So it'll match the house. It'll be 1 man door and 3 bay doors. I think the pictures I attached, it was red, but it'll look like that, but all black.
And you said this is for I guess, storage of hobbies.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, automotive and motorcycles, that's my hobby in my free time. So have enough room to store them and work on them, not worry about weather, having a project.
you're not gonna, I'm gonna say, run a business of working on other people's vehicles. You guys have any question?
I just have a quick question. So I see where it is on the property and so will you have access to the bay doors there? Driveway, all driveway there?
Which picture? I think there's another one I showed where I kind of like squared it out on the actual property.
Yeah.
That might be a better.
Oh, and you have a car. Okay.
Yeah, I think it didn't scan well, but I think she had actually in the application.
Have you talked to your neighbors about this project?
I do. We actually have a couple here
they're
on our behalf
all
as well.
present.
They're all immediate and adjacent to us.
Okay. I guess like my only worry when someone builds a garage of this, like you guys move, and that's like my eyes would light up if I'm a car person, that it's like I now have a free garage to run a business out of or something like that. So I think it's tough that I think the idea behind this zoning variance is that is like you need to present a hardship as to why, you know, like that's really why we're here, right? That's like what hardship is the smaller garage presenting you. And like I'm a drummer, I have a ton of drum sets, but like me having an expensive drum set hobby, unfortunately, is just that's not like the argument to say we have an expensive hobby, we have a lot of cars, right? So like that is my hesitation to like, even if your neighbors are okay with it, are they going to be okay with it if you guys move and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and someone's working on a motorcycle back there? So like, can you convince me and the board, like what is the hardship of building the smaller garage that would like, cause you would be zoned for 1,000 feet, right? Like you could
Correct.
build that. So what is the hardship behind needing the like 1,100 square feet? Seems like a lot of square feet to me.
Well, the storage, I mean, it's the only garage I'm going to build in my lifetime. I don't plan on going anywhere. It's been a few years in the process, working overtime to save for this.
Mhm.
And just there's a lot of woodworking project I'd like to do in the house also. I set up my woodworking shop and also take care of my automotive and motorcycles.
Okay.
And not to, you know, like placate the issue, but you could argue the same thing if somebody bought the house and was 2 a.m. working in the existing garage. Yeah.
Sure.
so
Yeah.
it's just the amount of items we have, and
Yeah.
it's tight. We're running out of space, and we want to do the woodworking section and put like a
Yeah.
small lift to be able to work on our cars on our own.
Yeah.
We
Like I
1,000
said,
square feet.
I can believe you. I think it's always just the next, like
Yeah.
you guys move and you're like, this house is too small. And then it's like, well, this is a pretty nice garage that somebody's now, vroom, vroom, it's late, right? It's,
And I know it's an
Yeah.
if, but I mean, I think we planned on living and dying in that house.
Mhm, yeah.
So
Just real quick, Lucas, don't mean to cut anybody off.
No,
Back
yeah.
to you. But Mr. Taylor, can you clarify, would they be permitted, or is there a limited number of accessory buildings they're allowed to build?
No, there's not. They could put multiple accessory buildings there. They're limited by impervious surface and they're limited by building coverage, both of which were reviewed in conjunction with this. And
So it
there's just-
applies to everything else other than the square
It
footage.
can apply everything else. There's a blanket regulation that limits accessory buildings to 1,000 square feet.
but doesn't limit the number of accessory.
Correct.
buildings.
Yes, and
So they could
we
put-
actually do have some.
They could put
properties that-
2,000-foot garages back
Right.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I have no other questions then.
Yeah, I just wanted to click because I thought that was the case because I think we've run
Yeah.
across this with 4 accessory buildings on one property where they met all of the other requirements,
Mhm.
but for the size, and they broke them up.
This is more of a question is there a space requirement between those?
The building code would require 5 feet or a firewall.
And they still have enough room?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
are you talking in between the existing garage and the new garage?
Like if you built 2 garages to say
Oh, I
like,
see.
that's the rules, right? You
Understood.
can build 1,000-foot garage and then 5 feet back and
I
another
understand.
1,000-foot
Another
garage.
1,000.
Like, yeah.
Does that create a hardship though, that they'd have to do 2 separate buildings? It would cost more?
I mean,
Yeah.
Is there a reason you don't want to do it that way? Two separate garages?
I mean,
yeah.
not even cross our mind, but honestly, I think it would look a little tacky. I think would defeat the purpose to go through that twice.
You have anything else?
I do not have anything else.
Any other questions?
I mean, I don't know if this is appropriate. You have witnesses of neighbors. Your neighbors are here in support of what you're doing, I'm assuming, correct? Is anyone here not in support of what they are doing?
The public comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this time, we'll take any questions from members of the audience. Any comments? Wait, can you come up to the,
Yeah.
and you have
You
to
swear in?
And then give us your name and your street address and tell us how close you are to this property.
My name is Kayla Dobbins. Kayla Dobbins, Kayla. Last name Dobbins, Dobbins. I'm directly next door, so if
Oh,
you,
wait, and did you swear in? I'm sorry.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do you swear or affirm?
I do. Okay. Can you bring up that Google image, please?
Which image? Oh, the
Google
Google?
image.
See.
So if you, go back.
Okay,
That one.
sorry.
So if you stay right there, if you look in the background, that the gray house directly behind the current garage with the windows, those are all my windows right there. So I have like direct view of their backyard as is. I will say it's always immaculate. It's always maintained. I have no doubt or concern that they would keep it that way. And I think I probably would be the most affected by it looking out those windows. And I have no problem with it. I think that they've shown me pictures of it. I have no issue. And I don't know if I can speak on behalf of the other individuals that live beside me, and they also have no problem. I felt it, like, for me personally though, having all those windows, I always look out and it's not going to be an issue for me.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate you coming out.
Hello. My name's William Lalonde, Lalande, if you need it.
And you were sworn in?
I was not sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do you so swear or affirm?
Yes. So if you spin the camera around, I'm on the other side. So yes, this, you can see the house clearly. So yes, I'm right there. So we share that sort of small alley / entrance to our driveways is basically what it is. And yeah, they, so first off, they've never like crowded that area at all even with their motorcycles. And I would, support their garage, and also it would probably even help them out for, when guests come over for us or for them. Sometimes we'd like to have our guests park in that alley to keep them off the street, or sometimes in snow removal situations, we all can put our cars back there, but if they had even extra space, that would even help us out even more. That's basically it. From where we stand, it wouldn't bother us at all and would even be a benefit.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Both next door neighbors to come out.
Did.
All right. Anybody else? Oh. Uh-oh, were you sworn in?
No.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony which you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do you so
Yes.
swear or affirm?
Yes. Hi, Pamela Smolensky, Smolenski, 1052 Decatur. I'm across the street from them. I'm just here to say I don't see it as a problem. I mean, as it is, there's other buildings behind there. I don't think it'll be an issue. That's all.
All right.
Thank
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? All right. All right. This time we'll go off the record.
Microphones are coming back on. There.
All right, at this time, we'll go back on the record. And can I have a motion from a member of the board?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the appeal.
I will second that motion.
Mr. Schneck,
Yes.
Ms. Wiles Young,
No.
Ms. Joseph,
No.
Dr. Van Wert,
Yes.
Mr. Walk.
Yes.
Motion to deny carries.
By 3-2. So you would have the right to appeal that decision, but you also could speak to the zoning officer to see if there's what options are available that would comply with the ordinance.
Okay. Is this something we can do now or?
No,
Okay.
contact me. I'd probably tell you, contact me on Friday. I'm out of the office for
Okay.
part of the day tomorrow. So.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming in. Yeah.
Do they know?
I do not.
Let me talk to Pip.
Joe.
Yes.
This one is not going.
So, gentlemen, one of the board members, one of the board members is going to recuse themselves. So it's the two vote. So I just want to make sure that the client has to make the decision. I can't, that you want to proceed. Very good. Yes, very good, Eric. Yes.
Good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have the same.
Do you want the
No.
mics up or you?
Yeah. look, Do that first, and then I'll talk about the 4-member board and the recusal.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, the mics are on there.
Yep. On. Yeah, we'll do that on the record.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have instructions for?
Guess we didn't go over that. Where are they?
Are you going to read the ad?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do that first, and then I'll.
Sorry, I'm spacing out. Okay. 2301 to 2329 Santee Mill Road, appeal of Industrial Archives and Library for a use variance to allow non-permitted office and archives uses in the rural residential zoning district, and a dimensional variance to exceed the permitted building height, 60 feet proposed, 35 feet permitted. Sections 1302.55, 1304.01B, 1306.01A1, 1325.06, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
Okay. Housekeeping item before we get going. One of the board members needs to recuse himself.
Understood.
So Mr. Schneck will step down. Dr. Van Wert will take on
As
the
chair.
role of chair for this hearing. As I indicated to you, there'll be 4 voting members. You understand the impact of that, and you're fine with proceeding.
Yes, I've
correct?
explained to the client the impact of that, and they have decided to move forward.
Okay.
So can you tell me when the property was posted, please?
Yes, the property was posted on February 12th of 2026, and we verified as recent as this afternoon that the signs are still there.
Okay. So you may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Our first witness was not here when Moira, when you were given. Would you please? Thank you. So you stand, please. Yeah, if you don't mind. Yep.
Sir, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You do so swear or affirm?
I do. Steve. Okay. Mr. Donches, would you state your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
It's Stephen Donches, Donches.
And Mr. Donches, you are affiliated with the applicant, that is Industrial Archives.
Yes.
All right. And Industrial Archives is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And can you indicate to the board members when Industrial Archives was formed?
It was actually formed on January 1st, 2015. We just celebrate.
Speak up a little bit. Yeah, I'm blocking you.
Is this
sir.
on?
Try hitting that button and seeing if that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Better?
You can just stay a little closer to the mic.
So we just, in January 1 was our 11th anniversary.
All right.
So
And how long have you been involved with Industrial Archives?
from day one, I was essentially the founder of the archives.
Before we get into some of the specifics regarding the organization itself, it's my understanding that Industrial Archives is now the legal owner by deed to 2301, 2329 Santee Mill Road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I believe the organization settled on that property on April 16th of 2024,
17th.
17th of 2024. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Could you explain to the board members how it was that Industrial Archives became interested or learned of the property?
We, sometime in late 2013, was brought to our attention that the property was there. And I was approached and asked, knowing what we do as a living, asked if we would be interested in the property should it become available.
And were you approached by the owner of that property?
I was.
And it took some time, obviously, to develop for the interest to result in the purchase of the property, correct?
Yes.
All right. Tell us a little bit about Industrial Archives and what it is all about.
Well, the Industrial Archives, we started it because of the changing landscape of industrial America. And our local area was a good example with the closing of Bethlehem Steel and others. And but there is a demand for historic documents. A lot of people do studies and do modeling and do all kinds of relationships, write books. You have academics and historians who are interested in the type of materials that we collect. So our purpose, our whole mission is to collect, organize, conserve, and preserve records, to make them available to the public free of charge, and to historians and scholars alike.
And where do you currently operate out of?
Right now, our corporate office is on 18 West 4th Street in Bethlehem.
And where do you archive at that location?
We have some services at that location, but we mainly operate in the Millard Street, right opposite the Cup. 1414 Millard Street is where the actual processing takes place today.
And will that be relocated to this property in the event the variances were granted?
It's what made the whole idea very interesting, because we're growing rapidly and running out of spatial space for the collection. Provide one or both bedrooms if necessary, but the trees have great interest in a lot of people, and so we have our own studio there. Process to do interviews and to have them prepared away from us to get them redone. And then once they're available, they're online. Anybody could ask to take a look at it.
Would there be any full-time or part-time staff members that would be located in the gatehouse?
No, it would be more part-time in a sense when you have an oral history event.
So the use of that
Absolutely.
property would be less than a family who lived there full-time.
Oh, yeah,
Is that fair to say?
absolutely, yes.
Okay. Let us go to the second structure, and that is the 1927 Tudor-style main house. Would you identify on the map where that is located?
Right there where it's.
That's the second from the right. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And do you know what the previous use of this structure was?
That has always been a residential structure since 1927 when it was built. And the Kingsleys owned it, George Kingsley Sr.
And what would the use be that the Industrial Archives would use the Tudor-style main house for?
Well, we're looking at it as a corporate and set up for the assignments that we do, the caretaking overall, the whole site. We have a general manager who would be responsible for managing that also.
Okay. Is this where most of the activity would take place on the property at this location?
No, it only be partial. The main part we can discuss.
Okay,
as
so
we
let's
go.
talk to the board. Tell us the intensity of how this structure would be used.
Oh, we would use it, there are 5 or 6 bedrooms on the upper floor, and it would be converted to more of a office type space. If there were seminars or events that we'd like to hold, there's a very large library in the facility, in that way. But most of it would be from a management standpoint of the archives.
Would the intensity of that use be more or less than what the previous use was?
There'd be people moving in and out from the other parts of.
But by the way, and we can get into this later a little bit, what would the hours of operation be in this property?
In general, the entire property, the archives is 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Very good. The next photograph depicts a 1775 farmhouse caretaker house. I'm assuming that was previously a caretaker's house. And what does Industrial Archive propose for this structure?
Well, it was before it becomes a caretaker for it, it was rented by the owners
As a residential?
owner.
thank you.
And that lasted, I think, pretty much into the last owner, who was spent about 8 or 9 years redoing the entire site.
So again, there was another family living in this structure in addition to the previous structure that we looked at.
Yes.
All right. And what is your proposed use for this structure?
Well, we're moving right now. We have a caretaker who had been in the gatehouse, and we're actually moving him into the farmhouse.
Okay.
And it becomes important because the farmhouse is more central to the buildings on the site. And so from a standpoint of his observing security purposes and the like.
So it's going to be living quarters?
It's going to be a living quarter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Maybe,
what it was
yes.
previously?
Right.
My apologies for
No,
interrupting.
I'm sorry.
Could you
But-
clarify which building that is? It looks like there's a
Right-
farmhouse and a.
Right where it was marked.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yep.
Right
It's
there.
right on the road.
Okay.
Okay. We're talking about the 1775 farmhouse, right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Right where the arrow is pointed, the hand is
Yes,
pointed?
right there.
Okay. If we look at the next structure, barn number 1, equipment and storage, west elevation. First, again, let's identify where that is on the plan. I see Mr. Taylor has the hand directly behind the previous structure.
Right.
Right.
It originally was a cow barn when the original owners used it for farming.
Okay. And what is our proposed use?
Our proposed use is, for starters, it's a place to store equipment that we need to maintain the facility.
And can you explain what type of equipment it would be?
It could be snow plows, it could be a
I see.
gator that gets you around the site, because it's obviously 62 acres is a lot to pay attention to.
Of course. So any equipment that would be related to maintaining the property, is that correct?
That's right.
And again, the intensity of that would be no different than what it was used for previously?
Essentially, yes. And the benefit of that, if I might just add, is in the long run, as we work through another building, in the long run, it's possibility to convert some units within the barn for storage, archival storage.
Page 6, I believe, is just
Same
another
building.
view of that
Yeah.
same building. Is that correct?
Yes.
And by the way, do you know what the height of that building is?
I think it's 37, 44.
44 feet. Is that? And we'll have other witnesses, but you
Yes.
believe it's about 44 feet.
Right.
Okay. Barn number 2, stables. And can we identify where that is located? Is that correct? Where Mr.
No,
Taylor-
that's the piggery there. Right there is the barn too, and stables.
Again, another one that's right down along the road.
Right on the road, yes.
That we see when we drive by there. Okay, and what do you know, if anything, about what the previous use of this barn was?
Well, originally the family, the Johnston family, they were very involved with the horses and rode around the entire area, equestrians. And there were, I think, 5 stalls inside the barn at the lower floor.
All right, and what is Industrial Archives' proposed use for this building?
Well, the same thing is a temporary storage facility, lean-to, which is on the left side of the building. You can't see it on the map.
Can you see it
there.
on the picture?
You
Is
can
it to
see
the
it on the
left-
picture.
it's to the left side of
It's
the
the
building.
lean-to on the building.
Okay.
And that would be everything that we have is environmentally controlled by temperature and relative humidity. And so a lot of the work that would be done in the future would be piecemeal. So the lean-to is a good first target where we could put collections that were excess.
And could you explain to the board members the activity that would be ongoing on a daily basis in this particular structure?
That would be very rare activity. Once you put the collections in the facility, the only times we would have reason to be in there is if there's an inquiry on some document that we had. Otherwise, that would just be a secure facility.
Page number 8 identifies a building known as the Piggery House, and
That's it right there.
That's it right there. All right. And do you know what that was used for previously?
Just what it sounds like to my knowledge.
Well, but we have to, but we're on the record, so.
On the record, they definitely did have pigs on the farm as well as cows and other things.
All right. And so was the building primarily housed animals? Is that correct? Farm animals?
Yes.
Okay. And your intention, Industrial Archives, for what, for that structure?
Our intention is that we do two things there. One is a cold storage facility for things like films, slides, etc., movies. And then the other would be a conservation slot. As you're looking at the double doors right there, that would be the conservation area. When we get sometimes when you get collections that have been in somebody else's storage for a lot of years, not professionally taken care of, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you can clean it of insects and vermin and the like, and mildew and mold should it exist. So the conservation area would give you the opportunity to clean it, and then it goes over to the main building to be processed.
Page 9, I think, is just another perspective of the Piggery House.
Yes.
And then page 10 identifies a building known as the apartment. And I'm assuming that was used for well, I shouldn't assume. Was that used for residential purposes?
Well, I think it was not this particular building. This is new. I think it's only about 3 years old. What happened was it was a workshop on the bottom and some living quarters on the top that had been there forever. And it was pretty dilapidated. And so what they finally decided was to make it useful. They leveled the existing workshop, and built this 1-bedroom apartment on the top, and there are 2 garage areas on the bottom.
And what is Industrial Archives' proposed use for this building?
This would be a temporary new collections coming into the site before we get into the main building. The lower levels we would have, just as I mentioned before, environmentally controlled. And that would be a place to do a preliminary look at the collections before you process them into the big house.
Like as an intake facility?
As an intake, temporary.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. And lastly, I believe page 11 identifies the area of the proposed new building that we will talk about in a minute. And that is close to the existing barn, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Donchez, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit so that the board gets a really good understanding of the intensity of what the use of this property is going to be. It is Industrial Archives' intent to maintain the historic and natural character of this property, is it not?
That's right. We look at this, our job for collections is preservation. And our knowledge of this site and the history that it has also has to be preserved. So we're looking at a multiple preservation effort as far as we're concerned on a regular basis.
Right. And would you describe a day in the life of Industrial Archives? What I'd like to do is give the board a perspective as to what activities would occur where on any given day. And maybe we should even talk about what the most intense activity would be and how often that would occur.
The most intense would be in the new building that we're proposing, right there where we're looking there. That would be a building that would match the first barn we looked at, the large barn. It's going to be a duplicate on the exterior. It will look like another barn. And for all practical purposes, it is. It's a storage facility and a processing facility.
And that will be used. And again, the need for that was created by the volume of materials that you are receiving.
That's exactly right. And what it does, it will allow us to consolidate everything that we have into this site. And probably dispose of for example, the facility we have on 4th Street.
All right. Will there be any full-time employees?
We have right now, we have 7 full-time employees. Five of them are archivists or doing archival work. 2 of us are more on the management side of things. Will be the 2 that be down at the main house. On a given day, there will be the 5 people for sure in that, and it's an internal operation. There's not much that you see from the outside. There's very little traffic going in and out. It'll be either the staff people or interns or volunteers that we might have on the site. When you look at it overall, as far as does it add any more intensity to what was there before? Not likely. Because what happens in a given day, we have, for example, we have a registrar and librarian who also 2 days a week goes up to the largest collection has been donated to us, and that's in Ashley up near Wilkes-Barre. And there's 20,000 lineal feet of documents and maps and drawings. That'll take probably another 7 or 8 years to continue to work on that. So 2 days a week he's gone. So instead of having 5, you're down to 4. And then our other archivist goes up there once a week. So the amount of activity from the outside is really negligible from a public standpoint.
Won't really be perceptible.
He wouldn't even notice. It'd be very quiet.
Let's talk a little about, is there a necessity of any hazardous substances to be able to maintain or destroy archives?
Is there any,
I mean, are there any materials that are used in the processing?
Not really. No, you're cleaning with just normal, literally brushes and towels and things that, but no chemicals to speak of. In a conservation area where we're talking about that separate facility of the piggery, rather than have it in the main facility, if we're going to have any activity like that, it would be in a separate building.
Nothing that would be classified as a hazardous substance.
No hazardous substance.
Okay, very good. And how would materials, how would trash be controlled and discarded?
Well, probably very much the way we have it right now. Simons or somebody like that would come up, pick that trash.
Just a normal handling,
normal
like a
handling.
residential structure?
Yeah, normal.
Okay, very good. Now, Mr. Donchez, I want to just review with you briefly in Exhibit C in our package, and that was a previous zoning determination by the Bethlehem Zoning Hearing Board. I don't know whether or not, and I don't believe any of the members currently serving may have been on that board. It's dated in May 5th of 2017. And I believe this was the property that is the subject of tonight's hearing. And there was an application, I believe, by an applicant for a bed and breakfast facility on the property. Is that your understanding?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And that variance was granted for that particular use on this property,
Yes.
to the best of your knowledge.
Yes.
Do you believe that the activities of a bed and breakfast would be greater than the activities that are being proposed by Industrial Archives for the property?
Yes, there would be, because you have to be functioning, I guess, 6 months or so. And you could have people living in the quarters, I think, for up to 2 weeks at a stretch. And the coming and going would probably be heavier because it's not only the main house, but it's also the gatehouse. So it's 2 facilities that could sleep as many as, I guess, 7 people.
Okay. In the board's decision at that time, they noted some unique characteristics about this property, and I'd just like to see whether or not you agree with the determination was made at that time. One of the comments on page 6 of Exhibit C indicated at the bottom of the page that the property contains a substantial undeveloped tract of land and remains in private ownership. The tract has not changed, correct? It still remains primarily undeveloped other than the structures that we went through this evening.
Yes.
In the proposed new barn. And it will remain in private ownership, will it not?
Yes, it will.
Industrial Archives has no intention, even though this is in a residential zone, of subdividing the property into residential lots.
We will continue to own it and keep, for example, the hillside, very cognizant of the Monocacy Creek and the steep slopes and the water flow rechargeable for the creek. We will own it and we will manage it in perpetuity.
And the decision also indicates that the property has historic structures that create a character for the property unlike any other land in the city. Would you agree with that statement?
I think so, yeah.
And you've known about this property for
I've
many
known,
years,
I've known
obviously.
about it, yeah.
The property is forested and sloped. It remains that way, does it not?
Yes,
And applicant believes it best serves the community if it remains primarily undeveloped. Would you agree that it serves the community?
I think the city in its comprehensive plan said as much.
Exhibit D, we'll just mention that is the deed of the property indicating that the deed is dated April 16th of 2024, but it is effective as of April 17th of
That's what
2024.
I'm sorry.
So that's okay. That is the day when Industrial Archives purchased the property from Susan H. Cummings. Is
Or
that
was
correct?
donated to us.
I'm sorry, it was donated. That's right.
Yep.
Thank you for correcting that. Exhibit E is the mission of preservation. I think we touched upon that at all. Is there anything more you would like the board to know about this nonprofit organization other than what you've identified for them this evening?
I'd be willing to answer questions, but I think we covered what our purpose is.
Okay. All right. What I wanted to mention to you is that I don't believe I've marked this. I don't believe it made it as an exhibit. So I will use this as Exhibit G, I think would be the next exhibit. And that's just a section of the City of Bethlehem Comprehensive Plan. So first, and then I'll hand copies out. Would you identify Exhibit G for the purpose of this hearing? Is it entitled City of Bethlehem Comprehensive Plan?
Right there, yes.
All right. And I would like to go to the future land use section of that exhibit and primarily the bottom of the page. And if you would you be kind enough to read into the record the future land use strategy of the city for this particular property?
It says, quote, "The steeply sloped and wooded Camel's Hump area west of Linden Street is a valuable water recharge area that feeds into the Monocacy Creek. It may be appropriate to promote clustering of housing in this area in return for preservation of the area's steep slopes," unquote.
So obviously you're not planning on clustering houses here. So the use by Industrial Archives far exceeds what the city's goal was, and that is to cluster a residential development if necessary on this property and maintain or preserve the balance of it.
I sincerely believe that the city will appreciate that under our ownership. We would not have to consider such a thing as clustered housing. What you see on the site today, other than the new building that will be built, will be the only thing that will be there, our one new building, which is on the western end.
I'd like to mark as Exhibit H a memo, interoffice memo from the Department of Community and Economic Development. And I believe Mr. Taylor indicated it did make the packages for the board members this evening.
Yes, it did.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, for the record, if you would just read into the record, if you don't mind, Steve, the middle paragraph, if you don't mind.
For the application.
Okay. Quote is, "The property is owned by Industrial Archives and Library and is located in the rural residential RR district, where office and archive uses are not permitted. While zoning relief is required, the proposed use supports city planning goals by providing a low-impact use that preserves and activates the property, contributes to the cultural and educational resources of the community, and maintains compatibility with surrounding residential areas through limited traffic and intensity," unquote.
So essentially, the City of Bethlehem Department of Community and Economic Development supports the application before the zoning
That's the way
hearing
I
board this evening.
understand it.
And I was wondering if I can get a letter like this for every one of my matters that I come down here with. I really appreciate that, David. I'll just put a different title on it. That's great. All right. Is there anything else, anything further? Well, I'm sure the board members will have some questions for you. Anything further you wanted to add that I may not have asked?
I'd just like to make a general statement that the potential with the 62 acres, say 19 or so, which would be part of our daily activity, and the wooded acres, will give us an opportunity as an archives, as an independent archives, an industrial archival practices that would be competitive nationwide with the best of over time once we get fully developed. It could not happen without this kind of site, which has multiple uses, and we consider it sort of a campus use, as I mentioned, the different uses throughout the building. We're as fortunate as could be that a donor came along with the idea before we got into other activities, and provides an opportunity for a future that not only benefits us, but I think will benefit the city of Bethlehem.
Thank you. I have nothing further for Mr. Donchez.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions?
Yes, I do. The new structure, it looks nice. I like the rendering of the new structure. Now that will be controlled with air handling and have all the necessary things because it's a new building that you need for.
Yes, the best practices of archival practice will take place in that building. It will be environmentally controlled. For example, from a temperature standpoint, we have a 68 to 72 degree temperature and relative humidity between 33 and 55%. So it's something that is very critical to us. And whenever you have a blackout, it alters the way the environment is. The good thing is that the prior owner has put controls in each of the residential buildings and the ones that we will have, so that we don't lose that capability of the around-the-clock environmental control.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, if may I offer?
May he continue?
For your knowledge, for about the last 8 years or so, the prior owner had inherited the facility from her brother. And she spent that time working diligently on upgrading everything, such as the septic systems were eliminated and we go on city sewage. The buildings themselves, it's amazing in the major building, the 1927 house, they rewired it, they added air conditioning and new roofing. And in essence, you're dealing with almost a new house. And that's true as you go throughout the facility. So from a standpoint of a relatively archival system, you would say, how can you take on a facility that's 60 acres plus and all these buildings? The thing that's good about it is all these buildings are in great shape. And properly cared for, and so it's to our responsibility to maintain that throughout the foreseeable future. So we're extremely fortunate, and especially I think the ability to lock, in essence, to lock that 62 acres into perpetuity as is. The idea is that part of the historic nature of it is that 50 years from now, when somebody drives by, they'll have an idea of what was taking place here in the 1940s and 50s and 60s and so forth. So for us, it's a challenge as management of the archives and library to make sure that we maintain it at a high level. And we're very thankful and we're very proud of what we have an opportunity to work with.
Any other questions? No. I just had a couple. So these are some of these are historic buildings, but it's not, we're not in a historic district or anything like that. Is there anything that if you wanted to, I trust the purity of your intent, that you could destroy or modify the exterior of any of the oldest buildings? Is
no, we
I mean, I know you
A
would.
little bit is tough, but it seems like it's a much bigger project than what you're working with right now. So you foresee that your organization has the funding to maintain now what is 6 or 7 property and the fields and everything else.
Yes.
It seems like a big jump in maintenance costs.
We're sound financially and we'll be capable of managing it. And to, if I might, the other thing is we're not always going to only have 7 people. As this continues to grow, we do have to recognize that we're going to have to add people along the way. With that, that's going to happen over time. Processing archivists are the beginning part for us. We hired 2 processing archivists about almost 20 months ago. Coming after the COVID situation, we couldn't be open during the COVID situation, but that didn't stop people from wanting to deliver collections. So when we came back, we were so burdened that we had to go out and get some more processing archivists, and they've been absolutely tremendous. And so we know in our planning that we're going to have to add people as we go, and you have to do it within the boundaries that you have financially.
I found my answer in number 13 in your restrictive covenant. So
I'm sorry, I didn't point it out
it's
sooner.
okay. I don't have any other questions. Did you have any?
Yeah, I just have one question. And this is not anticipating what the board may or may not do, but am I right in the deed restrictions that it says you can put 3 buildings?
It
not
does
just
say that.
one?
It does say that in the deed restrictions,
Okay.
correct?
So, but I thought you had testified it will only be 1, or is it's only 1 shown on this plan, but because you're permitted to have the other 2, for example, you wouldn't want the board to restrict it to the 1 beyond the deed restriction. That's what I want to clarify.
We would prefer that there not be additional restrictions because we believe these are adequate, but
Okay.
they don't have any current intentions or even in their future intention of adding any additional
No,
buildings.
that's why we're building the size we're going to build. And the idea is we have an outside firm who's experts in archival practices, and they try to anticipate how many more collections you're going to have and what period of time it'll take before you run out of space. And we've had that taking that time satisfy our needs. Plus the existing barns I mentioned before, we wanted to build units within the new barn or the old barns. That would forestall having to build anything else. Not because of my age, but I know that's not going to happen in my lifetime anyway. But I think we're going to be in very sound shape with the new building.
Mr. Donches, if I could ask as a follow-up question, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
very briefly, you mentioned that you had an independent analysis done by experts in the archive industry in terms of what your needs would be with this new building. And I know we have our engineer here, but I want to lead into that. That is where the request for the height variance has come from, is it not?
Yeah.
And based on that recommendation of a certain amount of square footage, the difference was either using more impervious surface in a larger building, so to speak, versus going vertical to
Right.
the height that we are requesting tonight. Is that
That's-
where that
that's behind
recommendation?
the concept? Yep,
That is behind, okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
We'll open up the floor to anybody who has any questions. Have you been sworn in?
I haven't sworn in, yes.
Okay.
My name is Scott Culpepper. My wife and I live at 2325 Santee Mill Road, which is directly across from the property in question. I'm a history buff, so I really have mixed emotions here, Mr. Donches. I'm sure that everyone here is familiar with the parcel involved and with the road that it's on. And I want to speak to that
So
briefly.
do you
but-
have a question?
Yes.
This is a questioning period. We'll be opening up later for statement, but this is a questioning period.
Okay. How long will it take to build that building?
We're in the early stages, but I think what we're going to be talking about is probably 3 to 5 years before you have a full operation.
Sorry, can you get closer to?
I'm sorry, I apologize. I said I think it'd be, when you consider the size of it and what we're doing, it's probably going to be in the range of 3 to 5 years, depending on how soon we can get started.
Do you have further questions?
I may have some as I go along. Is that permissible?
If you could please keep it focused, that would be appreciated.
Okay, I'd like to keep it focused for the time being. First of all, well, let's go to the barn again. 3 to 5 years to build the barn. will there be lighting at the barn? Outdoor lighting?
Yeah, there'd certainly be lighting for security purposes, but not any different than what you experience today when you're looking across the street at the big barn.
Well, I'm talking about your new building.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You used the phrase, and sir, are you Mr. Piperato?
I am, yes.
You used the phrase intensity a lot, which I appreciate because you're trying to address something and that you're trying to address the lack of impact on this. But I also heard the phrase explosive growth. So where are we today and where will we be 5, 10 years from today in terms?
It'd be a difficult judgment to make right now, but did I say explosive? Because I didn't.
I wrote it down. Somebody said it.
It's a growth that we want to achieve, actually. That's for the benefit of historians and academics and the like. And as we move forward, we will grow. There isn't any question about it. As I answered, we will need more archivists on board and others in maintenance of the site.
And I did misquote you. I apologize. You actually said we're exploding rapidly.
It's pretty close.
And the current number of employees?
We have 7 total right now.
And you take a wild guess as to how many you would have, let's say, in 5 years?
No, I would not do that tonight,
Okay.
but it certainly is not going to be stagnant.
Okay. The current volume of documents that you archive will arrive at the new facility on, I assume, trucks.
Small trucks.
Small trucks.
What we do today, for example, in the building that we use at 1414 Millard, large tractor trailers cannot pull into the parking lot there. So what we've done as a practice, we have another facility that we lease from, and where the tractor trailer, if you have it, and that doesn't happen that often with collections, but should you have it, the tractor trailer would go to this other facility that we deal with, and then break it down into smaller panel trucks or much smaller pieces of equipment to drive over. You don't often get in one fell swoop a significant thing such as an entire tractor trailer filled with collections. You get them in bits and pieces. Once in a while, you'll get something like our biggest one I mentioned is the anthracite up in Ashley. And that's something that it's going to take us another 7 years or so, I think, to bring all that collection of anthracite mining down to here. So it's not going to come in one fell swoop in a big truck.
So there's no loading dock type facility at this new barn.
You will have a loading area that would have an airlock, for example, but that would be done with a box truck or a panel truck, something smaller. It'd be a rare day that you'd ever, I don't even think you would see it with us.
Okay.
We don't get collections in that kind of a, yes, but that's why I'm saying, well, trucks, meaning the tractor trailer type, your 55 footers or whatever you're talking about. You won't see that happen with us because if by chance, I foresee that.
Okay.
If by chance somebody would give us a tractor trailer, it would go to another facility, not in the area that we're in, and we break it down into smaller, manageable pieces.
I understand.
That's what our processing archivists do. They get little pieces and they work through that.
I don't specifically have questions at this point, but I have a lot of comments. So tell me when I can do that.
Would there be anyone else in the audience who would like to ask questions tonight? Ma'am?
My name is Elizabeth Culpepper. I have not been sworn in. Do you need me to do that?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You do so swear or affirm?
I do. My name's Elizabeth Culpepper. Scott's my husband. Obviously, I also live across the street from this property in question. I was wondering why is it that you need this brand new building? Let me state that this property was in my family for years and years and years, and I'm extremely familiar with all those buildings, even after Susan did the renovations. So I know what's there, and I would like to know why you need another huge building.
Because if we want to operate functionally as the best practices in archival work, the newer facility will give us the give us the potential and capability of managing the archival system. The barns themselves are not where you would put a collection without making some, as I mentioned, building units that could go within sections of the barn. The idea that facility at the far end of the property, almost on Altona Road, will have it be back there behind the other barn.
She's having a hard time. Closer to the mic. She's having a hard time.
Will be there it is. Will be isolated for all practical purposes.
Well, then what are your plans for all the other buildings on the property? I gather you want to put a caretaker into the so-called caretaker's cottage. You want to use one building for equipment such as plows. The farmhouse along the road, are you planning on renting that to?
No, what happens is the person who was working in the caretaker's house at the gatehouse, right opposite your entrance, I guess, he's going to move down to the farmhouse because that'll put him in a centrally located area to keep an eye on everything from a security standpoint. Occasion to do archives, to do interviews, histories, and potentially if we have a researcher that comes into town and they need to stay overnight, they can stay in the upstairs bedrooms. So that, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
So that'll have very limited activity, but would be highly maintained. And
But you're saying the big barn is not suitable for storing any kind of archival material.
Not the way a barn is right now, because you couldn't very readily control the environmental aspect of a barn. It's all wide open. But if you built a unit in the right time that could go in there and be self-contained, that's how you would be able to make use of the extra space.
What is your plan then for the big Tudor? Why couldn't you store artifacts in there?
Well, it's not conducive to it. It's a living facility, cause that is going to draw from sources all over the country. We have to have a first-class facility, and that was recognized early on when we first, when the proposal came to mind. Would we be interested? And we had to take a look at that and say, well, what can you actually do in each of the facilities that are there? And that's why when we laid out the campus type approach, each of the ones we picked were selected for specific purposes.
I assume that this building, this so-called barn, is going to cost some big bucks, right? So given that, why couldn't you take those big bucks and apply them to the existing barn and create whatever kind of environment you wanted in there to preserve your artifacts? You've got a driveway that goes back up there. You can do any kind of loading and unloading in there. So why do you need another building? That's part one of my question.
Well, let him answer that first.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the vision we have for this project from day one was to capture historic production by companies throughout the country. And the timing was when we started out, we didn't know how big it was going to be, how fast we could develop it. COVID slowed things down a little bit, but on the other hand, when it was over, it came in a rush. We just got out of the clear blue about 3 weeks ago, got contact by an organization in Albany area in New York that they're an ongoing business, but they need to make space for themselves. And somebody put them in touch with us, and would we be interested in the collections that they have currently that would come to us. And so our chief archivist went up to visit, saw what they had to deal with, and we made a determination that we ought to accept it. And so they decided to give us the collections that they have. It's metal tools and workshops and stuff like that. We don't get any of the artifacts, but the drawings. And right off the bat, the first thing that happened was Union Pacific inquired as to the drawings that we had for wheels on locomotives that go back to the early part of the 1900s. I like that idea. I sort of like the history of that. We could play a role in making some of these things happen. To try to, well, number one, we don't want to change any exterior whatsoever, and we're not going to. To try to take a barn and present it with the environmental controls that we need, that I mentioned earlier, in a barn, my guess is we'd spend more money trying to do that than when all is said and done, that we have the barn that we're proposing to build that will be a first-class best practices type situation. And the money might be better spent on something new than trying to immediately jump into a temporary situation.
Do you have any concerns about the inconvenience of a 3 to 5 year project at the end of Santee Mill Road, where you already have a very dangerous intersection, requiring actually a lot of traffic down that way, because you can't go out onto 191 and make a left-hand turn with any reliable chance of being able to do it. So you have it. I guess my question is, how important is it to you that the people who live in this neighborhood get to continue to live in a comfortable setting without a huge long-term traffic disruption?
It's extremely important to us. And we're not going to generate extreme traffic on Santee Mill Road.
Just building the building.
Well, of course, but if every time you want to build something, you say, well, you shouldn't do it for this reason or that. We selected the site that is separated from the rest of, the site very well, so I don't have to explain that very much. But to take that site over there and build it separates it from it will not alter what the entire site look like. And we're going to manage it from a standpoint of our great concern too, as yours probably is Monocacy Creek, and that everything we can do to help maintain the facility the way it is, we would work hard at that. That's part of our obligation. But to say, if we took the same trucks to go into barns to rebuild it instead of building a new facility, what's the difference? You're going to need people, contractors, and construction work for a period of time, but then once it's built, it'll become back into what we normally deal with. Very little activity on a day-to-day basis, coming and going.
I don't have any other questions, I don't think. I will ask if you have any concerns about the wildlife in the area.
Sure.
When we came before this board for the original variance for the B&B, which we were kind of on board with that. Maybe I've been watching too much Law and Order, but what makes you an expert as to the traffic caused by a B&B being more than the traffic that would be caused by you guys hauling in and out all this stuff, you having employees coming in and out all the time. So I just question your expertise in that particular area.
Well, I've had 11 years experience with this facility that we now own. And we started out as a single office on 4th Street. We leased 2 facilities on Lehigh Street and then outgrew those. And then we ended up at Millard. But we recognize how things can develop over time. And if we're to be independent competitive archives, industrial archives, that we have to maintain the standards that people are used to. I like nothing better than to have the wildlife that we see when we look out there right now, the deer, the foxes, the bald eagles. That's something that's fantastic to be a part of that. And I hope that we would become great neighbors to you. We've owned it for 2 years. We haven't made any alterations. We had to wait and find out whether or not we can get the archival approval. And then we'll get back to work on keeping the site the way Susan would have had it. And we have very strong obligation to the donor that we were going to manage things to the best of our abilities, and the growth should be controlled growth. And we're not, I can't imagine that the amount of traffic coming and going out of our facility on a daily basis is going to be, it's almost negligible.
No more questions.
Thank you. Is
Thank
there
you.
anyone in the audience who'd like to make a statement?
Can I ask a follow-up
I'm sorry.
question?
Yeah, you can ask a follow-up, and then Mr. Piparato can redirect if you'd like, but you can ask your question.
Okay. So I mean, it's really we're ruling on 2 variances. So the first is just the overall use variance, and then the second is this building permit. So you're asking for a height variance. So, I mean, in your mind, building one bigger building off the bat is going to delay, maybe an inevitable delay, but the idea is that you could build the building. If we grant you the use variance, you said you in your deed can build 3 buildings, right? So not to take away from your concerns, but you can build a building no matter what, whether or not it's 35 feet or if we grant you the 60 feet. So in a way, in my mind, by building the one barn at 60 feet, that's going to delay any other projects in the immediate future of, okay, we build this and then 2 years later we're building another building? Or do you have plans to kind of roll out these 3
No.
deed buildings? that you
Direct
can have?
answer is not, there has not been any look at the opportunity to do maybe 2 more.
Mhm.
The idea is that when we build this big one with the 6,000 square feet, that the capacity that we'll have for our storage should last in the 15 to 20 years without a doubt. It's huge. But it'll allow us to build it on a piecemeal basis. There's no intention to build even the second or the third one, because what we could do, that's where the idea of building a unit within the barn, so that after we fully occupy and use the new barn, if we have a need for some space that could fit into the existing barns, we would develop a unit to do it that way and not disturb more land.
And I mean, regardless of any of that, whether or not you built a unit, like we don't need to get into the nitty gritty details, but I can't imagine that's an easy process to, like the woman who made comments said, like if you reinvent the barn that's already there, like that's a process too, right? So like that's still trucks, it's still materials. Like I would imagine that's a construction project, right?
It is a construction project, but it's also a difficult one from the standpoint of how would you design? I mean, all you have to do is open the barn and walk in. How would you design environmental controls of the temperatures and relative humidity I'm talking about? When most barns are, in essence open anyway, there's always slats of air that's coming in. What we don't want to do is change anything more We want the exterior to be the way it is now. And if we can use a piece of a barn at a given time, it wouldn't have major construction. But if instead of building the new barn, that you say take an old barn and start reworking that, I would make a guess it might be even more difficult from a time standpoint to get it moving and complete it in a reasonable amount of time. At least when you're starting from the ground zero, you know exactly what you're dealing with. When you go into a facility, whether it's the big barn or the stables barn, take quite some time to try to figure out how adaptive reuse would work to the advantage of the archives.
So is there any way you can use this property without having a major construction?
I don't
in some sort of whether it's a rebuild or a this or a that. Like there needs to, like, for you to use this property, you need to have
to build somehow. And our thought is if you're building from the ground up, you can meet all the new standards of archives rather than trying to squeeze things in, adaptive reuse and take a piece at a time. And then when that's full, then you have to come back again and say, well, what about the other section of the barn? And it'd be a piecemeal development that would not be conducive to the type of growth that and capability that we'd like to have.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Can I ask one more question?
Was it related to his question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, then no, because there was only one question, so.
No redirect.
Okay.
Do you have further?
I do briefly.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Corp. Bobby, come up. Take your time. Yeah. That doesn't mean anything. Okay.
Yep.
Okay to proceed. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, where'd he go? Oh. I was about ready to ask you a question. All right. Bob, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the court stenographer, please?
Yes, it's Bob Kerp, K-O-R-P as in Peter.
And Bob, you are employed by which company?
Barry Isett and Associates.
And in what capacity?
I'm a multidiscipline project manager and planner.
All right. And how long have you been in that position?
21 years.
Have you testified before either the Bethlehem Zoning Hearing Board or other zoning hearing boards in the past?
Other zoning hearing boards, yes.
All right. And Bob, have you been retained by Industrial Archives to look at a potential development of the property for the new barn building that is being proposed?
Yes.
All right. First, let's talk very briefly because I think Steve did a great job explaining the property. But from an engineering standpoint, how would you describe this property?
It's very rural.
And is it affected by steep slopes?
Yes.
All right. And you've seen the structures, you visited the property, you've seen the structures that are there?
Yes.
All right. The location that's being proposed or selected for the new barn building, in your professional opinion, is that the best area on the site that for its location?
Yes, it's right near to another structure
All right.
existing.
And the whole purpose of this from an architectural standpoint, and we have Sal here to talk about that, is to link it somewhat to the existing structure that's on the property right now, is it not?
Correct.
All right. So let's make something clear for anybody in the audience. No matter what, if the zoning approval is granted tonight, this project would still have to go through a land development process, would it not?
Correct.
And so therefore, this matter would have to appear before the Bethlehem Planning Commission. There would be the opportunity for the community to comment on it, and things such as stormwater controls and other engineering issues would be delved in very deeply at that time, would they not?
That's correct.
All right. And we're not trying to avoid that process because this is a 501(c)(3). We understand that's a process that the Industrial Archives would have to go through. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about the height of the building. From an engineering standpoint, obviously there's a benefit from an impervious coverage standpoint by going vertical. Would you explain to the board members what that is?
Sure. More height gives more volume without a bigger footprint. So by having a more narrow footprint, we have less stormwater runoff, less heat island effect, less impact on the land.
Okay. And so as Mr. Donch has indicated that they had a independent opinion from specialists in the archive industry indicating that for their future needs, this would be the appropriate size structure to attempt to erect. You don't have any doubts that from a construction standpoint, it can occur on this property at this location.
No problems with it, no.
All right, let's talk a little bit about parking. Now, Mr. Donchez talked about the fact that there are seven employees currently, but obviously there's room for that to grow in the future. Would you explain to the board members where the parking is on this site and how that would be accommodated?
There's parking spaces that are shown immediately proximate to the proposed barn storage structure.
Okay, and how many are there?
9 are indicated.
All right, and there's certainly paved areas that currently exist, impervious areas that exist on this site that could accommodate future parking.
Correct. Yeah, there's little turnabouts you can see directly to the east of the proposed building. There's a bit of an angle to the paved area that accesses the structure that's right at the road, and there's also paved areas proximate to the other existing on-site structures.
All right, so let's talk about the proposed archive building at 60 by 100. Can you talk to the board members about, I think we can see it, but I'd like the record to reflect it. What additional, other than the barn building itself, what additional impervious surface would be proposed for that area?
There's a slight access drive that connects to the existing terminus of the paved area in between 2 existing structures. That gets you around the building. The gore area is just for unloading, as would be necessary from the box trucks that Mr. Donchez described, and then the parking for staff directly west of the building.
And we are not proposing any additional access points to Township Line Road or Santee Mill Road, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so the idea is that the existing access points will continue to be used and there will be none added.
Correct.
All right. Now, I believe at some point the applicant is talking about submitting a subdivision plan to the city of Bethlehem while it goes through the land development process. And would you explain to the board members why that is and what the intent of that subdivision plan would be?
Roughly to memorialize the difference in the use of the property, such that the cultivated area that roughly hugs the wood line would be delineated as a new parcel, and then the wooded area would be the second parcel, to further just delineate the protection of the wooded area and the use of the cultivated area.
And obviously there's no plans to encroach at all into the forested area or into the woodland area.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if Industrial Archive was not as fortunate to receive the donation of this land, you would agree with me that this land is located within the rural residential zoning district, correct?
Correct.
And is there any doubt in your mind that the intensity of any use pursuant to the city of Bethlehem zoning ordinance for residential uses on this 62 acres would far exceed the impact that's what being proposed tonight?
That's correct.
All right. As a matter of fact, have you ever taken a look at whether or not this property could have been subdivided and potentially into how many lots based on the current ordinance requirements?
Yeah, roughly 120 single-family homes would be permitted.
On 62 acres?
Correct.
The great news is that we are under deed restriction. Industrial Archives now owns it, and the maximum number of buildings they can construct is 3. Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have nothing else for Mr. Krupp.
Did you have any questions?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Is there anybody in the audience who has questions for this witness regarding his testimony? Nope.
No.
Okay.
Okay, time to construct. Can Sal do that? One last question. There was a question about construction, correct?
Yes, Mr. Donchez had described a 3 to 5 year period for the project, but that really entails design time and seeking approvals from the city and other entities. Actual time to construct the building would probably be a year or less.
Very good. Thank you for
including all
clarifying
site-related work.
On that note, then, can you give any idea as to your other example? Then, like, what would the construction of 120 homes be? Would it be comparable or more or less?
That would take much longer.
Many years, would it not?
Many year build out is what you typically see on a large residential development. It would include roads, stormwater management. The impact of that would be far greater than one structure.
And one last question, Bob, if I may. I know we're not going to get into detail about stormwater today, but in totality with the construction of this building, just give the level of comfort, if you would, for the board members in terms of any additional stormwater that would be created by this building and how it would be controlled.
Yeah, we've done some initial review as part of feasibility for Mr. Donchez on the development of the property and the proposed building. The impervious cover addition is relatively modest. The runoff will be also relatively modest. We would probably be doing a rain garden as a water quality measure per the city ordinance, and we would easily be able to meet all of the city's requirements.
And so based on your professional opinion, there's no doubt there's a BMP out there. There's some facilities by which you construct on site that is not going to allow the stormwater to impact the neighbors in any negative fashion.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Peperato, do you have any other witnesses?
Briefly, one.
Okay.
I know you're tired. You've been very patient. I have one more witness. Yes, please, if you will, Sal. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's fine.
You have copies for us to look at too. Okay. Eric, I don't think I've gone past H, so I'll identify the first. I'll identify this exhibit as Exhibit I, if you don't mind.
Yeah, H was the community development
only have
memo.
one of those.
Yes.
So this is I.
And,
I only have one, but
only have one.
yes,
For the board members do not have this one.
they do not.
All right, then we'll pass it out. Okay. Sal, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the court stenographer, please?
Sure. Salvatore Verastro, V as in Victor, ERRAS, T as in Thomas, RO.
And Sal, you are with Spillman Farmer Architects, is that correct?
That is correct.
In what capacity?
I'm the president of the company.
And what designation do you hold in Pennsylvania?
I'm a registered architect.
All right. And how long have you been in that position?
40 years.
Okay. You've been retained by Industrial Archives, I believe, to look at this new build, right? The new barn building that's being proposed for the site.
That is correct.
Have we submitted any documents, or does Mr. Taylor, do you know, have any documents of what the proposed barn is going to look like? The new construction barn. Do you have anything, David, that you received?
I had those elevations up.
Yeah, can I comment on that? So the height of those elevations were done to match the existing barn that's been referenced by Mr. Donchez a few times generally, but that's when we realized that the volume of that height would not be conducive to what the volumes that they need. But so that's a representation of what the new building would look like, but not the same height. So it replicates that particular barn right there.
All right.
That one's at, I think the drawings are about 45 feet.
All right. So leaving that there for a minute, would you explain to the board members from an architectural standpoint where the new barn is being proposed and how that will either attach or be detached from the existing structure?
The new structure, well, this barn is 100 yards away or 200 yards away from the new structure.
Understood.
But they are very close to each other in reference to the property.
And from the roof lines, et cetera, the architectural standpoint of the existing structure, the new structure is going to be similar in nature? Is that
Very
what's being
similar to that with a gambrel roof and horizontal siding, correct.
And what's the purpose of that?
We're trying to stay what we call historically contextual with the entire property. As Mr. Donchez mentioned, all the properties have been restored. They've all been painted the same color. They all have new metal roofs. They're in great condition. So we're going to replicate that with the new structure.
And so it's really going to look like it belongs on the property, will it not?
100%.
Okay. I know that we've just marked an Exhibit I and you've handed out to the board members. So what I'd like to ask you, if you would describe what that photograph depicts.
Yes, and I'm sorry we didn't get this to you sooner. So this is a picture I took last week at the corner coming down from the south end of Township Line Road. And this would be the only spot that we could determine where you would see the building the most. So what you see there is we superimposed the new structure at 60 feet at the requested height for the variance on the property in the exact same position that it's in. And you can see how the visibility of the 60-foot structure at that corner.
as you go either south or west from this property, the building will, until you're on top of it, will not be able to be seen. And this is with the leaves down.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, obviously the height of the trees does it exceed the height of the building, the proposed building?
Say that, I'm sorry.
Does the height of the trees that are
they-
depicted in this picture
obviously,
exceed
yeah,
the height of the proposed?
100, yeah, like 3 times.
And did you have an opportunity to superimpose, or you can describe for the board members how you did it, but I want to show you an Exhibit J, and then we will hand it out to the board members and let them pass it around. Would you explain what you did with this document?
Yeah, so obviously I can't put leaves on the trees. So we went to Google Maps and found the latest picture from that same spot, which was only a few months ago, and tried to superimpose the building behind the trees, and you can't see it. And it is actually there, believe it or not, but you cannot see the new structure behind the trees.
So you're telling us that the building is superimposed into this picture?
That is correct.
And so Sal, from an architectural standpoint, there's obviously there's times of the year when the leaves are not there, right? So
That's correct.
The building's going to be visible. We're not saying it's not going to be visible.
That is correct, sure.
What we're indicating is that from the standpoint of during the period of time that the leaves are on the trees, it really is not going to be perceptible from either of the roads where it is adjoining.
That is correct.
All right. And from an architectural standpoint, even if it is visible, the intent is that it looks like it belongs on this beautiful 62-acre piece of property, and it's consistent with the aesthetics and the architecture of the rest of the structures on the property.
It is contextual with the history of the architecture that exists, correct.
Is there anything else that, I know it's been a long night, I know you have some notes jotted down there. Is there anything else you wanted to add for the board members?
No, I'm happy to let you know how it'll be a simple structure. It's a structural steel frame, concrete floors, and we're going to use materials that will be conducive to make it look just like the picture and the other barns. I do want to add one thing. I know Mr. and Mrs. Culpepper brought up the use of the other facilities. Barns are not structurally sound to carry the weights that we are talking about in these archive buildings. We cannot, there's no way those second floors in the barns can carry any weight of substance that we need. So Mr. Donches, when he was talking about using them, we would just use small sections of the lower level of the barns, and the construction there is going to far exceed the square footage cost that the new structure will be. If you took all the, and I did a calculation, if you took all the square footage that is existing on the site, and you couldn't use it all, but the usable portions, it would be 1/10 of the structure that we're proposing that they need to store their archives. So it's useless. 1/10. It's very basically they're useless for the most part for the volume that they need. Now they could use some of them for specific storage, but not to the volume that they need.
And, let's put a personal twist on it. We've all grown up in this area, and we've passed this property for, at least I have, for 45, 50
Sure.
some years, right? And you have as well.
Exactly.
So either, both from a personal standpoint and also from your professional standpoint, is there any doubt in your mind that this proposed barn building will be architecturally in keeping with the character of the neighborhood?
No doubt at all.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody have questions?
Yeah, I just have the one question. Thank you for imposing the building so we can see where it is. Now, I just assume most of those trees will stay during construction. I mean,
Great question. Yes, they will. The ones that you see that are in front of, between the new structure and the camera, so to speak, they will stay. There are a few in the footprint of the building that will be removed. They're further back, but that's a great question. No.
No. So does anybody in the audience have any questions for this witness?
I was going to ask the same tree question.
Okay.
I have
We're
nothing
done?
further.
Okay.
I would move
The
my,
rest.
I moved
Okay.
my exhibits and rest.
We'll admit the exhibits.
All right. Go to statements.
Mhm.
Anybody in the audience like to make a statement?
I think they have this one.
Mr. Pipparati, you can make a closing after they make their statement
Yeah,
then if you want. I just thought you should hear what they say first. so.
Absolutely. I have no problems with that at all. Thank you.
And I'll be brief. You alluded to very accurately in 2017, many of us were here when Mrs. Cummings made her proposal and requested variances to build a B&B. And Mr. Donchez, you stated very correctly that over the next 7 years, she put many, many improvements into that property. So we sort of suffered through a construction zone for 7 years. And we did it silently because we were convinced that that whole B&B thing was going to be the best use for that property. And now here we are 9 years later, back in front of zoning about the same property. So you'll understand why we feel a little bit like a bait and switch was pulled here, which it wasn't, but you'll understand why we feel that way. In fact, you said it was almost like they built a new house, and that just went on forever with a lot of noise and a lot of traffic and everything related to it. I would simply ask you folks to keep in mind the character of the area, that it is R&R for a reason. Not much of that left in Bethlehem. And to keep in mind the lovely pictures that we just saw include Santee Mill Road, Altona Road, Township Line Road, and a set of railroad tracks. And I wouldn't want to have to build a barn there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a statement?
I have one question. And this only occurred to me because of the previous garage request. You guys asked her what
Ma'am,
was
please
the
ask
hardship?
Are you asking us a question?
Yeah, I'm
We don't answer questions. I'm sorry.
okay. Do I ask them?
No,
Okay.
this is
What's
time
the
for
hardship?
statements.
What is the?
Oh, well, you were at the previous hearing. There's all kinds of hardships. I mean, you talk about the slope, you talk about the forestry, you talk about the size of the property, you talk about the irregular shape. They're all recognized in the municipality's planning code as creating hardship. So this property is filled with hardships.
No, that's. I don't think that's where I'm going. What is your hardship that you have to build it here, that you can't build it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Hold
can't
on,
answer
let's
that
hold on.
question.
Let's take a break here. You can make a statement. You can make an argument that we don't have a hardship, and then we'll let Mr. Piparato respond. But we're not. This isn't a debate right here. So, if you want to make a statement, you can make your public comment. You can argue that there isn't one. You're welcome to do that.
No, I guess not.
Well, no.
Well, part of the problem here, at least for me, is I have an appointment to get a hearing aid, but I haven't gotten it yet. So a lot of the times I'm not picking up on what you're saying. So what did you just say to me?
Yeah, what I said to you was, this is your opportunity to make comment. You are welcome to make a comment that you don't believe they have a hardship, but then Mr. Piparato will have an opportunity to make an
Okay,
argument
that's
that they
my
do.
comment.
Did you
I
hear
don't
me?
believe
Okay.
you have a hardship.
Thanks. Sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. It's been a long night. I think, I would ask you to take judicial notice of the previous decision of the zoning hearing board where it found multiple unique characteristics with this property. And I think we should all be really, really grateful and thankful, first of all, to Ms. Cummings, who donated the property, and then to Industrial Archives for wanting to preserve this property. Any of us who's grown up in this area, or even if you didn't, you've been by this property, we know how valuable this property is to this community. I mean, my goodness, was there ever a time in your life you drove by there and didn't think to yourself, man, wouldn't I love to live there? Wouldn't I love to have that piece of property? So again, I think, we have one of our exhibits, Exhibit E, is our legal analysis as the reason why we believe that we're entitled to the variances. You've heard all the testimony this evening, and I trust your judgment. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? Is there anything prohibiting, like, if this were to get denied from your organization from turning around and selling this property within the deed? Like, it was donated to you. Is there anything that is like?
No, they're permitted to sell it. There'd still be deed restrictions, but they would be permitted to sell it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think we'll go off the record and go into executive session. All right.
that they are.
Could I have a motion from a member of the board, please?
I will make a motion to approve with the following conditions. First condition is that the barn matches the design of what you proposed. And then for the second, it's contingencies, but I'm going to let our solicitor better explain those.
Yeah, so the second condition would be that with regard to the use and development as set forth in the deed restrictions that are applicable to this, that would be a condition of the approval, such as maximum buildings, subdivision, et cetera. And that will be enumerated a little more specifically in the decision.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then we acknowledge, I think, that the exhibit, the one barn exhibit did not have the correct height. The height variance is granted, but the design is going to follow that and the photograph you supplied.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Ms. Wiles Young,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph,
Yes.
Dr. Van Wert,
Yes.
Mr. Wolk.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Appreciate
Luck.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Oh, Pete
Pete stayed the whole time.
A better person
than
I am.
I think he wants to go get a bite. If anyone wants to come.
I'm gonna try to make it to Walgreens by 9 o'clock to pick up my kid's prescription.